Oh, stop this, man. You're too good for it. You're too good for it. Very good. Amazing speech play. I'm rating this speech play for the speed that it came out 10 out of 10. And this is just beautiful, beautiful. The thought process, thinking of all the creative ways. Stop it. I gotta have a word with him after this. You asked, I'm delivering. The #1 person I was recommended to review to see how good they are actually at poker, lifting the curtain, lifting the veil, was a man I'd actually never heard of before, called Hungry Horse Poker. There's so many up-and-coming YouTubers that are just crushing the game. And so I went and watched an episode of his. It turns out he's doing this challenge where he's playing 500 NL or 2.5 live and seeing if he can make $100 an hour playing poker. That is tough. Like, you have to be creme de la creme, or the game that you have to be playing and the other players have to be creme de la crap. But we're going to watch this together. We're going to see exactly how good Hungry Horse Poker is. The truth revealed. And I've not seen this one. He only just released it. So we'll watch it together. That's a bad start. First hand, we got King 10 suited in the low jack. See how he plays it.
Small blind's going to call and heads up to a flop, which comes 3-3 deuce with a couple of spades. Just betting my entire range, choosing the size where they raise off their strong shit.
Though already not a fan of betting my entire range. There may be an argument for betting every single hand, but anything to do with a range bet or a range check is automatically a no bueno in my book. You know, just to go back to the analogy of rock, paper, scissors, if somebody is always playing rock, you don't want to be balancing your strategy, assuming they're not going to change their strategy. You only want to be playing paper. Ergo, you have to be fully exploitative with all of your hands in all of these different situations. That is the true GTO style. So some hands you want to be c-betting bigger, some hands you want to be c-betting smaller. There's actually one category of hands that you want to be thinking about really a lot in these kind of situations where we've raised and somebody's called. But let's see if he mentions it first.
Call with their weak shit, hopefully. So I go $25 here. He's going to call. Turn is a 7 of spades, and on this turn, he can certainly have some flushes. Recreational players generally play their flush draws a little bit more on the passive side. So I'm going to choose a size here that's going to incentivize him to raise off his flushes right now, but also continue with some weaker hands, maybe like pocket 6s or pocket 5s here on this turn that are just going to call.
So it's an interesting style. It's definitely a very intelligent style. Whether it's optimal or not, and whether it's good in this exact scenario is debatable. But what he's saying there is essentially he's value betting his king high against hands that are better than his, which is kind of a value bluff, if you want to call it that. And he's saying, I want these hands to call the turn so I can then bluff the river. There's a lot to say about these things. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it can be very overrated and overdone, especially when you're betting turns and then also rivers is really, really tough to say. That's particularly good. The one category of hand that I was hoping that he would mention here is ace high. Now there's going to be a ton of ace high hands, you know, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, ace 9 suited, ace 5, you know, all of these types of hands that on the flop, they're going to be playing the exact same way. And then on the turn, assuming the turn is not a spade, they're going to be playing the exact same way as well. So if you can manipulate your opponent to get them to call ace high on the flop, fold it, and fold all their ace high on the turn, you're actually getting a huge portion of their range to fold. Now, because he's called out the small blind, he's also going to be very pocket pair heavy. A lot of people really just call like deuces, threes, fours, fives, sixes, sevens, eights, nines, 10s even out of the small blind in these kind of positions, and that really does take up a lot of their range. Then it's going to be suited broadways, and in this case, once he calls flop, it's going to be spades and diamonds, and that's pretty much his entire range. There'll be a couple of other hands in there, obviously, but a triple barrel does make sense here. I like that he's got a size on the turn that flush is going to be raising pretty often. I might even go a little bit smaller just to make sure that his small flush is raising, maybe like 30 on the turn to then blast river if I really feel like doing it, but this is definitely a pretty intelligent style of poker.
Turn and then going to have to fold to a lot of pressure on the river. So I go $50. He puts in a call once again. River is a queen of clubs. At this point, pretty confident that he does not have a flush. In general, when you choose a small size on the turn, they raise off a lot of their flushes. If I was betting for value here, I'd probably go around 175, 200, trying to get called by a hand like pocket 9s with a spade or something like that. So I'm going to size up here, make sure.
So for him to overbet here, he has to be really sure that he's not running into ace queen, which can definitely be there almost at full frequency. Maybe he'll fold the non-spades on the turn. It's debatable. Maybe he'll 3-bet some pre-flop, but it depends who you're playing against. And then he's going to have to be really sure he's not running into a flush as well. Yeah, this is the problem sometimes with these bets smaller on the turns to bet bigger on the river. If you don't have a very defined range that's very capped, you can end up just blasting a little bit too much. And mathematically, this needs to work so often for it to be profitable. I'm gonna rate this play before I see the results. I'll call it a 7.5 out of 10 for the creativity and the intelligence of it, but for the actual execution of it, I think it's a little bit imprecise.
We ensure the range
It's still gonna work most of the time, but it has to work a lot of the time for it to be best.
fold. I go 375, and the small blind quickly gets out of the way.
Yeah, so you're still going to get him to fold all the pocket fives. Even without a spade, he's probably going to be calling that on the turn. Then there's going to be an ace-jack with a spade in hands like this as well. So,
All right, next hand, here's some fun table talk. We open to 25 doll hairs in early position with pocket tens. Button is going to 3-bet, and after he 3-bets, I ask him what he has.
What do you have? Eights. You have eights?
well, you now know that he doesn't have eights, which is fantastic. You can take pocket eights out of his range. This is a good thing about table talk, by the way. It's like, even if they say something that ostensibly or seemingly is random, you could sometimes just make a little deduction. I don't know if he's got aces. I don't know if he's got 10-9 suited, but he's actually probably not got an 8 in his hands, would be my guess.
Pocket eights? Oh no, I meant like your cards. Like what cards do you?
Well, take that back.
Was talking about the last time.
Yeah, I have pocket eights. No,
And I take it forward again. Yeah, so it's also probably not got pocket 9s and pocket 10s as well. Because you tend not to say something that's very similar to your hand.
this hand, you have eights? Yeah. Okay.
I put in the call. We're going to a flop, which comes king 8-6. I check it over. He goes $60 into 155. Small size here, so I'm going to continue once and see what he does on the turn. And now at this point, he asks what I have.
What do you have? Well,
You have to think about a good lie in this kind of situation. I would say, I promise I'm not trapping you, or something like that. Or I'd be like, I don't know, man, nothing. You know, something that just brings the shadow of doubt that I might have flopped a set, because I actually don't want him to be betting the turn here. So I'll try and, like, surreptitiously imply that I could have a very strong hand.
I asked you and you didn't tell me.
And then regret everything when I turn a set.
I got pocket tens.
Very good. Amazing speech play. I'm rating this speech play for the speed that it came out, 10 out of 10 for the set of 10s. That was very, like, this really shows a sharp exploitative player. I'm very, very impressed with the speed of that speech play. If I'm this person and I'm playing against some random guy that says pocket 10s, I'm probably thinking that he's got one pair maximum and I can just start blasting off it. Very, very intelligent.
I beat pocket eights now.
I am going to check it over, and he goes 140. Now at this point, recreational players under double barrel, especially in 3-bet pots. It's just pretty
Very true.
likely he's got something. I'm not sure he has the strongest hand when he chooses this size on the flop and this size on the turn, but I think he's probably got something that he likes.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like King Queen, doesn't it? A little bit like King Queen.
So I don't really like check raising turns for value just because it looks so strong, but I want to take the lead here. Don't want to let the river go check. I actually think maybe just leading this turn is best here for maybe 250. That actually minimizes fold equity. So I'm going to put in the check raise to 340.
The fact that he's considering leading the turn as well is like super exploit. Very non-GTO player, which I love, obviously. If you're new to the channel, come check out Elite University where I teach you how to play like this. Hey, I'm doing a thing where I'm taking 20 of you to the high stakes in 2025. There are 4 seats left. So if you're interested, link in the description below. And if you can't afford the initial investment, we're even giving away 1 spot for free. There is a second link in the description below if you want to join the giveaway. It is total value of about $4,000, although the cost of signing up is $1,000. So if you want to be part of $4,000 Elite University coaching giveaway, there's a lot that we're giving away in that package. Check out the links in the description. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Beautiful people. Peace. And this is just beautiful, beautiful thought process, thinking of all the creative ways, thinking why it might look too strong to raise, but realizing you kind of have to because you need to go for stacks and all of these things. So very, very intelligent. Also, the fact he's been speech playing means that somebody's probably more likely to just call you down, especially the fact that he said he had 10s and now he's raising it. I would be suspicious if I was a recreational player, especially if I were myself a recreational player. I'd be very suspicious.
He is going to call. River's the innocuous deuce of diamonds, SPR of about 0.5 here, only about 400 and some change behind. And I think he's probably not folding a hand like king, queen, king, jack, something like that. Certainly not ace king. I'm not sure he has ace king at a high frequency when he chooses the size on the flop and turn, but I don't think he's folding a king for a half pot size shove on this river. So I put the money in, and he actually snap folds and said he had queen high. So maybe a hand like queen jack or something like that that picked up a straight draw on the turn makes.
It doesn't seem like a snap fold. It seemed like a 20-second fold. But all right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, makes sense with our reads. Again, he said he had pocket eights. Very, very likely he doesn't have pocket eights or anything close to an eight. And so, yeah, sounds like probably a queen jack.
Some sense.
No, not bluffing. I told him what I had.
He said pocket 10.
Same pocket 10. I have pocket 10. I don't lie about my card.
All right.
Probably wouldn't have shown him.
Very next hand here, I think I somehow chose the wrong decision on every single street in this hand. Let's talk about it. We've got pocket aces under the gun, open to 25.
You chose a wrong decision on every street. Does that include raising pre-flop? He's like, I should have limped under the gun. Should have done the old classic old man coffee limp under the gun with aces and limp raise, and everybody folds kings and queens.
A for-profit player is going to call in the low jack.
A for-profit player. As opposed to a non-for-profit player. I like that.
The big blind's coming along. We are three ways, and the flop comes 5, 3, 3. And with one player in position to us and one player out of position, I don't expect this flop to get stabbed all that much, especially because the low jack is.
I would probably check this board specifically with aces, especially having the spades. You do lose less against the 3 if the big blind has a 3. You also just give all of the overcards to the 5 a chance to hit a pair. And if the guy over here, whatever position he's in, middle position, has pocket 9s, he'll just bet himself. And you can think how to get more value out of that way. I actually really disagree with this bet, but it's obviously fine.
Is a thinking player. He's not just going to be monkey stabbing here. So with only one player in position, I'm just going to bet myself. I go $30. Low jack calls next to act, which means he's probably got a hand that he likes here now. And the big.
So you can really narrow down somebody's range here. You can already say he's got 4s through jacks, maybe something like that. And then he can have a bunch of spades, maybe some ace highs as well. And that's pretty much his entire range. Maybe like king, queen of hearts, king, jack of hearts. But pretty tight range already.
Big blind folds and gets out of the way. Turn is not a great card for us. It's a king of hearts bringing a backdoor.
Turn seems fine. Turn seems good.
Flush draw. The reason why I think this is not a great card for us is I think most of the low jack's range is going to be hands like 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That you're not going to be able to get stacks in versus those hands. The king brings in some potentials for some king x and other flush draws that are going to call a huge bet on the turn. And if he does have a king, he's going to call a huge bet on the river as well.
Stuff like that. And this king, well, that downgrades a lot of those hands. They put you on ace king when you raise pre-flop. So I think we're going to have to size down.
Nah, I really don't like it. I understand the thought process. He's really honing in on those like pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 7s type hands. But mathematically, you just have to hope he has a better hand when you have a hand this strong. And if you could bet 200 here on the turn, or was it 135? Yeah, if you could bet 200, and he only needs to call 1 out of 5 or 20% as often for it to be a more profitable or equally profitable bet. And you definitely just have to bet big. Double flush draw board. Too many hands out there that are just going to call pretty much any size. So
hands, they put you on ace king when you raise pre-flop. So I think we're going
maybe not 200 because we do block most of the ace high flush draws. Maybe something like 125, 130, 150, something like that, to make sure the queen jack of spades, queen jack of hearts still calls you.
Have to size down here to make sure those hands continue to call. We also have the ace of spades in our hand, which makes it much less likely that he has a flush draw himself. So I'm going to go very small here on this turn, targeting hands like pocket 8s, pocket 9s. I go $40.
So pause the video here and think what you would do. There's a few options. There's a few options. Now I know a lot of you would check because you'd be scared of the flush. That is reasonable, but first we need to break down exactly what his range is and what are we going to do about it. These are the two questions you always need to ask. What is his range? Well, he can have some flushes. You can have like king jack, king 10 of spades, hands like that, queen jack, queen 10 of spades, you know, if he's feeling a little bit wider pre. He can have a bunch of pocket pairs, like a bunch of pocket 6s, pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, pocket jacks. and then the odd random float with like a king on the turn, but probably not. It's a pretty narrow range. And now the question is, what do we do? We can definitely check, but I don't really like that. I love betting small here. And you have to know if you're betting small, if you're going to be calling a raise or not. Or if you're going to be 3-betting against a raise as well, which I wouldn't advise, because you can have pocket 9s and pocket 5s and pocket 3s. But it at least gives him a chance to hear a call with something like 8s, something like 10s, something like jacks. So maybe something like 75 would be kind of sexy here. And then try and get a read. The better you are at live reads, by the way, check out my live tail masterclass. The more you can bet small here, knowing you can make very good decisions if he does raise. I've made millions of dollars using live tails in poker. I think I'm the best in the world at it. Honest to God, that is my true opinion. And I've never released a course. I've worked with people one-on-one. I've done 3 live tail retreats where I charged $5,000 for a ticket. But now I'm actually releasing a course, a masterclass on live tails. And if you want to take your game to the next level, and if you want to be the person that you can sit down and play the rest of the table like an instrument, this course is for you. And because it's pre-order, you can get 25% off using this code if you sign up with the link that's in the description, and I'll put it in the pinned comment. Enjoy the video. Like the video, by the way. Beautiful people. Peace.
The low jack calls. Now the river is the 9 of spades here. I just think he's mostly got hands like pocket 8s, pocket 7s, maybe some pocket 9s for a boat now. I don't think he really has many flushes. So I guess a case could be made here for just blocking very, very tiny on this river. But I think we're kind of running out of value here against hands like 8s, 7s, etc., especially when the flush gets there on the river. So I'm actually going to check it over. He checks it back. We know we're good once he checks it back.
Ooh, we had ace king. Damn, dude. Just saying, my big old blasty bet on the turn would have got a lot more value, and I would have got more value on the river. What would you guys done? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to rate this hand probably like a 5 out of 10. Again, good thought process, execution, a little bit dicey. Carry on.
And we put the chip on our card, and he actually shows ace king. We win the absolute minimum here. He didn't 3-bet pre-flop. He called the tiny bet on the turn with ace king, and then he just checked it back on the river. And feeling pretty bad about this one. I do think we played it okay against the range that we assigned him. Just didn't think he would have much ace king here. I guess it makes sense from his perspective to have ace king. You know, we are the only 2 regs at the table, and if he wants to flat to keep the more recreational players in behind with a stronger holding, I guess that makes some sense. It's something I would do. But nevertheless, we win the minimum in this one. All right, next hand here, double board PLO Bombard. We've got ace jack 8-6, and we're 8-handed, so
Damn.
$200 out there. Flop 1 comes king 10 queen, so we flop the nuts, and there's also a couple diamonds out there, and we've got ace jack of
Double board bump pots are really just a test of intelligence. It's very hard to study for it. Nobody bothers. I assume not many people bother, at least, but it's a pretty intuitive game.
diamonds. We do have a royal flush draw to go along with the nut straight, and board number 2 is queen 6-3 with 1 diamond. So we've got middle pair and backdoor nut diamond draw. Checks over to us. We're in the hijack, so we're in late.
Probably just want to be betting big here. You want a bunch of people to be in, but it's not like you got it absolutely locked up. So you probably just want, you want ace jack with no redraw to be in there. You want a bunch of people to be fighting for the other boards. Yeah, so probably bet something like 150.
Late position here. Only 2 players left to act behind us. I'm just going to pot it here. Now, if we just had a naked straight up top, I probably would just check and hope to see a blank card on the turn. But with the redraw, with the middle pair and the backdoor flush draw on the second board, I think we've got enough going on here. Let's just start piling in money here with the nuts on 1 board and try to drive players out of this pot. We bet 200. An EP player calls, and we're going heads up to a turn, which is not advantageous for us. It's a queen of clubs up top pairing the board, and a 3 of spades down below also pairing the board. And
the thing is, you are up against ace jack and jack 9 a decent amount. You can be up against like jack 9-6 or ace jack anything, and the other guy's probably going to be in there a little bit too sticky.
Now EP leads for pot. He leads for 600.
All right, we're just folding.
here. And at this point, we're just getting scooped by hands like Queen 10, Queen King. Don't love this turn for us. One of the only bad turn cards in the deck up top. And I think at this point, with nothing going on the second board and now losing 2 boats on the top board, unfortunately, Bluffing will suck on this one. So EP is going to limp. Low Jack ISOs to $25. My MO, play 3-bet pots heads up in position against recreational players.
I don't like the 3-bet with 7s here. If you get 4-bet, it's so sad. And 7s play so nice multi-way because if you hit a set, ooh boys. Yeah, I would really recommend not doing this kind of stuff unless you're like a million big blinds deep with everybody. Like 500 plus big blinds deep. I think this is about 3-bet.
3-bet pots heads up in position against recreational players. So I'm going to 3-bet with pocket 7s here on the button to 75. Now the EP limper is actually going to cold call. So he limped and calls a 75 cold. Brings the low jack along as well.
One of the things that people really underestimate is how hard it is to play pocket 7s, 8s, 9s in 3-bet pots as the 3-better. It's so hard because there's always an overcard. And it's like, you don't really have a bluff and you don't really have a value hand because they're bad bluff candidates. And you don't really have a value hand because you can easily have like ace, king, ace, queen if it's an ace, king, queen high board. So you have to be like very precise about how to play these in 3-bet pots. And they're just so nice to play in single race pots, especially multi-way single race pots. So yeah, I really recommend not doing this at home.
Well, and flop comes pretty good for us. Ace 7-6 with 3 hearts. So it is monotone, but we flop middle set here. Checks over to us. Going to bet small.
Think about sizing. I would just bet the biggest size on the flop that it's inconspicuous. That an ace is still definitely going to call like ace 10 of spades, something like that. Because if ace 10 of spades is calling, then so will jacks with a heart, so will 9s with a heart probably. So I'd probably go a little bit bigger, like 150. Something like that.
Oh, here we go 100 and the EP player calls. Now the turn is a 9 of diamonds. We would love for a hand like ace 10 suited without a heart, of course, to continue here. A hand like ace 5 suited to continue here. We're gonna have to go relatively small on this board to get those to call. He does have a bunch of flushes here as well. So his range is really strong stuff and really weak stuff. And we would like for the weak stuff to continue calling. Just really hard for him to have a hand like the stiff king of hearts or queen of hearts hand, an offsuit hand here when he cold calls a 3-bet and then calls next to act on the flop. So I'm gonna go small here. I go 150, and now surprisingly,
the problem with this small is you're giving such a good price to like 8s with a heart, you know, things like this, 10s with a heart. So it's definitely fine because you have ace 10 hands like that in such bad shape. I'd probably go a little bit bigger.
he min check raises to
Oh no, we've been min raised, boys. Oh no. Call and hit a boat.
300. I think this is more indicative of 2-pair hand.
It does feel a little bit too pairy, depending on how much he's got behind, which I can't see.
Maybe sometimes a straight, but I think he's got more 2-pair than he's got straights, and he's got about 500 behind. We're gonna get to see what he does on the river. So I am going to call. River is now a 10 of diamonds, and after thinking for a little bit, he is going to check. Probably just get greedy and jam if he did have a straight.
Yeah, so the check is exactly what you're praying for, because he's probably not going to check a flush. He's probably not going to check a straight. So we're probably up against ace 9. As weird as that sounds to be so specific, it can be pocket 9s with a heart. Yeah, it feels like he's just got some kind of... He can also have ace 7, ace 6, hands like that, if he's cold calling a 3-bet after limping pre. Yeah, like 9, 7 suited. I don't know, man. Something like this. But anyway, it feels like 2-pair. I think Mr. Horseman and I had similar reads on the 10 with the sizing.
Great. I think his most likely holding is going to be a hand like 2.
Oh yeah, what do? You pause the video and work out for yourself. The question is how much will 2-pair call? And the answer is probably like 300, something along those lines.
Pair, and if I was bluffing here on this river, if I somehow got here with a hand like king queen with the king of hearts or something like that, I'm not sure I would feel comfortable making a hand like ace 9 or ace 6 fold ever here on this river for a half pot size bet. So on a board where there's a one-liner to a
oh, you only have 500? Yeah, you might as well shove.
Straight and a flush out there, I'm going to jam here with fourth set here for value. I put it in.
You don't even know if you want to get called because he could still have pocket 9s.
He tanks for a while. Finally, he is going to call. We show our hand, and we are good. pot. 7 people in there, so a $175 pot. We've got Jack 664 with 3 hearts, and board 1 comes King 7-5 with a couple hearts, so we flop a flush draw and a straight draw. And board number 2 comes 9-6-5, so we flop middle set. So we've got pretty good hands on both boards, but not the nuts. And this is one of those spots where if it goes like 3, 4, 5 ways, we're just getting scooped all the time. But if we can get it heads up and apply a ton of pressure, we are most likely winning on one of the boards at least. And this is just one of those spots where we feel pretty good if we can get it heads up. So checks all the way around to us in the cutoff. I pot it for 175, folds all the way around back to the low jack, who is going to call. Turn is an ace of
You got the type of hand that you're pretty happy to get a heads up because you actually do scoop pretty often when that happens.
diamonds up top, so it does not help us on that board, and a king of diamonds down below. So think probably our pocket 6s are still good at a relatively high.
You just pot again. If they have just like a bare 7-8, they might just jam the turn. In which case you're doing. Oh, actually no, you're losing against 7-8 specifically. I take that back. Okay, it depends how deep you are. If you're only like 1k deep, that's actually kind of annoying, because he actually does have 7-8, a decent amount. But then if he has some like king 7 hands like that, you can get value because he's got both of them locked up. Yeah, that's a tough one. Honestly, as crazy as this sounds, it might even be a check just based on how much you get stacked by a 7-8. Yeah, very, very interesting spot.
Frequency, but if he does just have something going on the top board, just try to push out his equity here. So we go 525 for pot.
Alright, the fact that he didn't jam means he probably doesn't have 7-8. I actually think this might be a pretty big EV error by potting here, because yeah, you'd expect a bare 7-8 to just call and then jam over a bet on the turn. Whew.
Again, he is going to call. Now the river is an ace of spades up top, pairing the board, so we just brick everything, and a queen of diamonds.
So now you are bluffing. Now you think he probably hasn't got 7-8, and you just want him to fold, knowing that you almost definitely have this bottom board locked up, and yeah, you might even be able to get him to fold pocket 9s, by the way, because you can still have 7-8. Alright, so you're just potting, hope to get him off a chop.
Down below, bringing backdoor diamonds in, and now he is going to donk jam all in. So we just completely brick up top, and down below we lose to.
Damn, this actually could be 7-8 still with a weird slow play on the turn. That's a weird jam. He's probably just got ace king 5 or whatever. But
flushes now, and at this point I think we'd be calling, just praying for a chop at best. So I am going to make a disciplined fold.
Oh, there was also jack 10 as well.
Here on this bad run out. Hard to lose both boards here when we flop such strong hands on both boards.
Yeah, river spot's close. It's very close.
To try to isolate, get it heads up in position, but I don't think our hand is strong enough with 4-3 of hearts here. But I am on the button, and this is one of those spots where I make exceptions. I like to come along and call and see flops with position, especially because the blinds are not squeezing at any decent frequency here. We're just going to get to realize we're going to get to see a flop. So I come along. Flop comes pretty beautiful for us, 7-3-3. And with the pop being 95 here, checks over to the hijack, the original pre-flop raiser, and he goes 120 into 95 at this point.
Damn, dude, you've run into a not-for-profit player with aces, I think. Calling flop, of course.
I think it is very obvious that this guy has a hand like pocket 10s, pocket jacks plus here, and he is trying to protect. If I was bluffing in this situation, I would never raise this guy because I think we have 0 fold equity on this board. So I'm actually going to put in the raise right now with a value.
I don't like it. You're giving him a chance to fold aces. Obviously, the bad thing about calling is that the turn can be a spade. But apart from a spade, there's not really a bad turn. You know, maybe a king or an ace would suck as well. But yeah, I think you're just you're giving him a chance to just get away from it on the flop.
Value hand, just figuring he is never folding pocket 10s plus here, and I'm just going to try to get the money in by the turn. So I go with a relatively small raise. We don't need to raise that big. We only started this hand about 950 effective. I raised to 400, and good news for us, he just jams all in here for 950. We snap.
It is player specific, I will say. Like, I don't know who this guy is. If he's, you know, some Iranian billionaire that is never folding ace in a million years, then raises indeed better.
Top it off. Turn is an ace of diamonds. Don't really love it because now we lose to pocket aces. River is a deuce of hearts, and he shows pocket kings. Of course, we are good.
I would have lost a lot of value there because the turn would have killed my action. Kudos to him. Slap on the wrist for me for being results oriented. It's hard to rate this hand out of 10. It's either extremely good because he knows his opponent, or it's not particularly good, depending on how good his read is on the opponent. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say probably knew his opponent.
All right, next hand here with a very interesting river decision, very nuanced. I want to talk about it. The straddle is on. We open to $40 from the hijack with queen jack off. The button is going to call. Heads up to a flop, which comes 8, 4, deuce, rainbow. I am just checking my entire range out of position, but he checks it back, which is pretty good news for us on a
Wait, you're checking your entire range out of position? What?
here with a very interesting river decision, very nuanced. I want to talk about it. The straddle is on. We open to $40 from the hijack with queen jack off. The button is going to call. Heads up to a flop.
Raise and called, and he's checking his entire...
Comes 8.
What do we suddenly turn into Chat GPT trying to play poker? What's going on? Are we trying to be like some terrible AI? Why are we checking our entire range out of position on 8-4 deuce? Have you ever heard of a continuation bet, man? Come on! 8-4 deuce! Guys, don't ever do this. It's fine to check it. It's not a bad play. But checking your entire range, just like, what about pocket nines? That would be a terrible check. What about ace-8? We have awful. Just pocket sevens. What about that? So yeah, guys, don't do any of this range betting, range checking. It really doesn't make sense, especially as this man is obviously very intelligent, very good at exploited poker. Having range checks and things like that just doesn't make any sense. Play your hand against their range. That's how you play poker. Their range, your hand, and then if you want to be on the layer above, your perceived range. Don't do range versus range nonsense. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, come check out Elite University. We've got masterclasses on this stuff. Some of it's free.
4, deuce, rainbow. I am just checking my entire range out of position, but he checks it back, which is pretty good news for us on a dynamic board because players will just always bet with a hand.
So, what are we thinking about? One category of hand here. There's actually a couple, but one category of hand mainly when we see this turn. That's right. We're thinking about ace high because now they've picked up a bunch of equity. So, because he's checked back the flop, he's going to have a ton of ace high anyway. He's going to have, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, ace 9, hands like that. Every now and again, he'll still have like 6s and 7s and things like that. But mainly, we're going to try and get value out of ace high on the turn and then bluff him out on the river. That is my plan.
Hand like 8x here, hand like pocket 9s, etc. Turn is a 5 of spades. It does bring in a couple draws here like ace 3 or 6, 7, but I think we're going to hear from those when the flop goes check, check. So I'm just going to bet 90 here on this turn. I do think if he has a flush draw, I think if he has a hand like 6s or pocket 3s or 7s, he's not holding for any size, so we like to maximize value against those holding.
He's doing the same thing as me. He's maximizing value on the turn. I'd say that you probably not a little bit imprecise here. It's very, very smart way of playing. I think you're forgetting that by betting 90, you're getting him to fold a lot of like ace 10, ace jack, at least a decent amount, which is quite a lot of hands you want to get value from on the turn.
And then blast.
Isn't it funny talking about value betting with queen high? But it's very, very good exploitative poker, and you should really take a lesson from this.
Him off on the river. He is going to call. River is an 8 of clubs, and on a paired board.
I kind of just wanted, I don't know if jam makes sense, but I kind of just want to jam. Maybe if he's got like 1K is too much, but bet like 750, something like that.
I actually decided to go small here because I do think players get really sticky with hands like pocket 6s, pocket 7s, stuff like that on this board. And although I don't think he ever has an 8 here, I do think he could occasionally show up with a hand like ace 3 for the second nut straight on the turn that wouldn't raise off to a big size, and maybe even possibly a hand like 6-7 suited sometimes. So I do think we can run into some brick walls here. If I
really don't like this. If your turn size is to try and get the calls from 6s and 7s, you've now got the exact size. They're definitely going to call on the river. If you're going to try and fold them off ace highs on the river, you've got to go a size the ace highs are going to call on the turn. Bad hand.
Very small, just trying to get the flush draws to fold. He is going to call. We flip over our hand proudly, and he shows pocket 6s. I'm okay with the thought.
Yeah, again, thought process of getting value with your queen high, very intelligent. Execution, really poor on this one. Very inconsistent range analysis. So I'm going to rate this hand 2.5 out of 10.
process here, I believe, but maybe the river size, I could have just gone 90, saved myself 20 bucks, 10 bucks, something like that here on this river. Next hand here, this is a doozy. $50 with pocket quigglies in the low jack. The hijack and
I like Quigglies. That's a nice one.
button are going to call. Now the big blind, who we have not seen
I'll rate that a good 8 out of 10 for names.
3-bet much at all, if any, today. Squeezes to 140. This is
I've got a history of calling them the dishwashers on my stream as like an ironic joke. And now I'm going to go into charity and politics in my career, and I got to hope that doesn't come back to haunt me one day. I'm sure I can trust you guys not to tell, people about that when I'm, running for office or anything. Like you guys wouldn't do that, right? That's fine.
pocket queens, and the button is going to come along as well. 3 ways to a flop, which comes
So big blind squeeze, we called, somebody else called behind us.
6 deuce deuce. Now the big blind goes 130. I think he would choose a larger size if he did have a hand like kings or aces here at a high percentage of the time. I think we've got the best hand with queens. Would not mind the button coming in behind us on a board that's this dry.
It's a strong assumption. Maybe he knows his play really well, but I wouldn't expect people to bet huge here with ace and kings very often.
Not really many bad cards for us except an ace or a king, so we're going to call. Now the button's going to raise to 440 here. I do think this can be worse hands some of the time, just trying to protect maybe a hand like tens or jacks or something like that. But now
My daughter does this sometimes when she's confused. She goes, "That's how I feel in this spot. What are you doing raising?" 0 hands are good to raise her.
big blind is going to call, and alarm bells are going off in my head at this point. It is just unlikely that queens are ahead of both the button and the big blind. I
You can still call technically. It's probably a fold.
think the big blind likely has a
The
hand.
thing is, you're getting such good pot odds. You could even, you're almost getting odds to call it and hit a queen and stack somebody. Obviously not quite, but then every now and again you're also ahead. I'd probably call, just because you're getting ridiculous pot odds, and then fold pretty much every turn
And like ace
and hope that it checks down somehow.
is here that just bet small on the flop because he just didn't feel the need to protect from all that much. Not really
Oh wait, did he bet 1 before that? Oh, he bet 1 third. Oh no, I probably fold it. I thought he raised smaller than that.
protect from all that much. Not really sure what the button has. Maybe still pocket tens or pocket jacks. We're just going to fold right here with pocket queens. Turn is a 9 of hearts. Now the big blind is going to come out and donk jam for 400. The button calls. River is a 5 of hearts, and look at this showdown. The button shows 5 deuce offsuit. So flopped trips and just fast played it on the flop. The big blind has king deuce of spades. So flopped trips and went very, very small, and just got sucked out on the river here. So maybe reevaluating this pre-flop read when people squeeze that it's just going to be top of range. This guy squeezed with king deuce of spades, so probably should just be 4-betting here against this particular player. Gonna make a note and notice that he only squeezed.
I liking the humility of him saying, I need to adjust my reads on this situation. Very, very good sign of somebody that's going to improve very quickly in poker, that feedback.
And I'm generally just doing a lot of flatting when there's a for-profit player who opens strong. For-profit player if they're opening to 3x in a game where no one's 3-betting and everybody's calling a ton. But whatever, neither here nor there. We're going to call with king 9 of clubs, let in a bunch of the wrecks behind us. Now the button, small blind, and big blind are going to call as well. 5 ways to a flop, which comes 7.
Something you're allowed to do here, by the way, is min bet. Sounds crazy, but min betting here can actually be a little bit sexy, a little bit sexy. And the reason for that is you actually end up getting to bluff pretty often if it just goes like call, fold, fold, or call, fold, because everyone raises their strong hands, and you can still be pretty uncapped. I did a whole video on this. I took it down and put it behind for my community in eliteuniversity.com. But yeah, min betting in multi-way pots can be really, really beautiful.
7, 6, 4, rainbow. Checks through. Turn is a 3 of clubs, giving us a backdoor king high flush draw. At this point, it is going to check over to the EP original pre-flop opener, who bets.
All right, so the opener probably doesn't have a 5. Probably bets bigger than a 5. If my read on that is correct, and it will depend on what I'm thinking about the person, I think I just raised to 200 here. Because these guys don't have a 5. This guy almost definitely doesn't have a 5 as well because he didn't bet the flop. So maybe not 200, maybe like 175, something like that. And Assume he's just going to fold all of his flush draws.
$25, and with a one-liner to a straight out there, we are going to call.
Oh, there's actually 2 people in position. Okay, I'll take that back. I'll probably just call.
Folds around to the small blind, who check raises to 75. EP player folds. At this point, we just know the small blind has a 5 100% of the time. Nice thing about our hand is I think we can get value when we do hit our hand on a club river. They don't really look at the backdoor flush draw for.
Yeah, you're calling for a club. You're also calling for a 5, where you can win. Probably not calling for a diamond. I don't think you can really rep a diamond.
Whatever reason. If the front door flush draw comes in, I do think we can bluff, and if the board pairs, I think we can also consider bluffing. So we are going to call here with quite a bit of money behind. River is a 2.
You have to have a very tight image to bluff these kind of situations. I never have a tight image and never had one in my life, so I'm just going to be folding here.
Of diamonds, bringing in the front door flush. It's small blind now, but 75. This is a size that just doesn't want to face a lot of heat, doesn't want to face a raise. If I did river a flush here on this river, I'd probably raise relatively small, maybe 250, 300, just trying to get a hero call from a 5. So because of that, I just think.
Yeah, I don't like that thought process. Mathematically, it doesn't. Like, you're definitely more likely to get called when you go 250, but if you go 750 and you have a flush, you only need to be called 33% as often. So I mean, it's obviously a very. I would call this kind of like an obvious spot to bluff. Like everyone's going to consider bluffing here if they're any good at poker. You just have to have such a tight image, and the person has to be capable of folding a straight. So maybe in some scenarios you can do it, but I just fold it.
We have to go small to get a call here, while the bluffs are just going to print. So I raise to 775 here, just knowing that we're going to get a 5 to fold almost all of the time. Small blind folds quickly here, and the small blind shows 5 deuce.
All right, playing 5 deuce, folding straights on rivers. Different kind of beast to the types of recreational players I'm playing against, but nice hand. I don't know what to rate this hand. Call it an 8.
Of course, for a straight. And we say,
I had a big one.
0 cents. That's not huge.
Oh shit. Was it really a diamond?
Am I right?
I thought it was a club.
over $100 an hour, but it's gonna come right down to the wire.
Oh, so he's crushing it already. Good job, dude.
And you know what they say.
You got beans.
You got beans. All right, jumping into the second session of the week here at Hustler. Marco, make sure you put the second session. Everybody loves to know it's a second session. We opened at $25 from Under the Gun with 10-9 of hearts and
I'll call this the last hand because it's a long episode already. So far, he's playing. We'll summarize in a second. Let's watch this.
P calls, and I say,
All right, I definitely have the best hand right now.
You probably do.
There's no, but we're gonna see
Very good speech play again. Very, very good speech play.
in a second.
Probably. You're out, you're like, nope.
flop comes King 10-5 with a couple of diamonds. Heads up, single raise pots out of position, just checking my entire range. We check, he checks it.
Oh, stop with this range checking, man. You're too good for it. You're too good for it. Stop it. I gotta have a word with him after this. I DM'd him on Instagram before I made this, being like, hey, I really like your style of poker. And he messaged back saying thanks as collab. By the way, guys, if you'd like to see us do some kind of collab, recommend what kind of content you'd like to see. Be creative about it. I'm not a creator. There are better content creators out there than me. I don't always have the best ideas for collabs. So if there's something you'd like us to see, tell me. But for now, I'm going to have to message him and be like, stop range checking. Stop range betting. It's not a thing for exploit geniuses. Bad.
Turn is a 10 of spades. Going to go
Get one of those water bottles and go
small here because I think he would bet King X at a high frequency.
Sizing on the turn, probably good.
On the flop, we have to target pretty weak hands here. Maybe like some straight draws, under pair, stuff like that.
All right. Do we want to bet small to try and induce a bluff? Or do we want to bet big and hope he's got a king? Probably bet small and try and induce a bluff. Probably bet like 20 and hope he raises and snap him off.
So I'm going to go really small here on this turn. I go 25. He is going to tank and almost fold, but then he's going to put in the call, and this is important. Now the river is...
Oh, he said 25. Bet 25 on the turn, or what? Oh, he bet 25 on the turn. I thought we were in the same wheelhouse.
like Jack 9 or something like that. So I'm going to go 40 on this river, and now he is going to raise to 100.
Cool.
And 50, and I ask if he'll show me one card.
Show me one card.
Did he even look at which card that was?
raised to 150. And I ask if he'll show me one card.
Only one card.
Oh, he did. Why would he do that if he has a flush? What kind of bluffs can he have here? Ace. He almost folded on the turn, he said. I mean, just call. He's probably bluffing. Ace 9 with the ace of diamonds or something. I don't know. Ace jack with the ace of diamonds. I don't know, man. Shove would be cool here. That would be really cool. She'd go, oh, man, I really don't know what to do. You've really gotten the better of me in this hand. I guess I'm all in. I guarantee he folds a nut flush 100% of the time if you do that. Actual genius. I can't do it because when I do it, people call me. But you guys can do it. Take your tight images and use my aggressive style. You'll print loads of money. But yeah, you really want to be able to just be like, oh, man. Got the nut flush. I don't think maybe I can throw my hand away. Maybe I've got to throw it in the muck. All right, you know what? I'm all in. And everyone in the world thinks you have quads. Guaranteed.
See, that makes me want to call.
When he obliges here and shows me the ace of diamonds, a couple
Very good.
things going on. Number one, I think if he did have ace x of diamonds, he would just bet on the flop quite a bit when we checked to him. Number two, I think his reaction on the turn when he was thinking about folding, I thought that was genuine. So I don't think he's going to fold the nut flush draw by any means on the turn. He probably just snap call, right? So I don't think...
And number three, why would he show you the ace of diamonds if he's got ace 9 of diamonds?
He has an ace high flush here at any frequency, so I'm going to put in the call with trips, and we are good versus ace 7 with the ace of diamonds. And just a couple things going on here. Maybe you guys can add to your game. A couple little live reads going on the turn, and when you add up the puzzle pieces and put them together, they just add up to a pretty easy.
So use the old BSTI. Let me know in the chat if you know what BSTI is. And if you don't know what BSTI is, you should, and come check out eliteuniversity.com to learn for free what all of these things are. Now, to summarize, Mr. Hungry Horse Poker is playing an extremely exploitative style, very intelligent. I would say probably a little bit inexperienced with certain deliveries and executions with sizes, you know, a little bit imprecise. It's not always easy when you're in game to do it. But he's very out-of-the-box thinker, very creative thinker. I would say if you guys are looking to learn poker from somebody that's playing these live vlogs, this is going to be much better than the other options that are out there that I've seen at least. So I'm really excited to see how his game progresses. I think he's a fantastic and intelligent creator of, you know, but he's very creative is what I'm trying to say. I would just say he needs a little bit more of the fundamental range analysis of really just like intuitively understanding what people are going to do with different parts of the ranges, and probably digging into combinations a little bit more, breaking down more spots and saying exactly how many combinations of ace high, exactly how many combinations of flushes, exactly how many combinations of pocket sixes. Because I really just get the feeling that you know, that hand where the other guy turned up the sixes and he, you know, didn't really pay attention to the ace highs, despite there being quite a lot of combos of that compared to other hands. It's like it's something that it just stinks a little bit like somebody that hasn't gone down to the nitty-gritty level, granulated poker to a precise amount, and then also having these range checks is just so he's above it. Honestly, he's just above it. And I know a lot of your favorite creators out there, I'm not going to name people, have all these range bets and range checks. It's just lazy poker when you're playing these stakes against these types of people. You don't need to be balanced. You don't need to be checking range. You don't need to do any of this stuff. It's just, yeah, it's just he's too good for it, and hopefully he sees this and takes that part of his game out of his repertoire. All right, beautiful people. I hope you enjoy this. If there's anybody else you would want to see me talk about and watch their vlogs and critique and criticize and analyze with extreme honesty and clarity, let me know. Come check out my coaching platform. Come learn how to be financially free playing poker. You can join for free. Join the Discord for free. I'm in there coaching all the time for free, giving feedback. There's loads of high stakes people that you'll be able to ask all the time. Just ask them, how do I play this hand? What should I have done here? How do I handle bad beats? What should I do with meditation? Whatever it is. You need a community if you want to succeed in poker. I've created everything you possibly need to get up to the high stakes, and a bunch of it is absolutely free. So come check it out, eliteuniversity.com. That's enough marketing from me. All the best, beautiful people.